Morning everyone. Right, we're back at Soda Shack and today we're going to be making a coat rack with a bit of a shelf over the top. It's for a friend of mine, no plans as usual, so we'll just make it up as we go along, same as always, and we'll see what happens when we get to the end of it. So I'll get cracking, just get some bits of MDF sorted out that we're going to use, and we'll take it from there. Right, just cut a strip off of this piece of MDF, and it's 140mm. That's going to be the main back for the coat hanger. That's going to have the hooks on it. So we'll work out what's coming next, and then we'll get the next piece cut. What I'm planning is this is going to be the main backboard for the coat rack, and that is going to be a top piece. We're going to have a gap here. The hooks are going to go onto that bit there, and then we'll make some sides which will join the back plate to the top, making a nice little coat rack. It's nothing too technical. Just a nice straightforward little project, and same again as I've always said, all this can be done with hand tools. We're not doing anything special or whatever. These can be cut with a hand saw or a circular saw. I'm using the table saw because it's here, and why wouldn't I? So I'll get the lengths worked out, and we'll start cutting them to length, and then make some end stops, and then we'll work out how big we want the top and start sanding up then and get it put together. This is the backboard. What I'm going to do, just square this edge up, make sure it's all plumbed up. And cut it to length. Oh, important job, kettle. Right, we're going to cut this to length. What I'm after is 900. Right, so that has now got us length set, so that's what we're working from. So we're going to have, like I said, we're going to have two end stops on either end to support this top shelf. I'll work them out next, and then once I've got them sorted, we can start working out the placement for all the hooks and divide them up equally so they all follow along and look right. So I'll get a bit of stock cut to make these ends, and then we'll work them out. Right, as end stops need to be 100mm, so I'll just reset the fence to give us 100mm. And there we have a piece of 100mm that we can cut to make our end caps off. Right, what I'm aiming for is a 50mm gap between the backboard and the top. So as we look at the tape, if I set the tape at 50mm, so that's giving me the 50mm gap, which gives me then my overall size of 190mm. So that's the length of my two side pieces. So we'll cut two of them at 190, and then we can start giving them a bit of shape then. Same again, square the edge up first. One at 190, use that to mark the other one. And that gives us our two sides at 190. What I want to end up with is something similar to what I've got mocked up here. So you've got your backboard, we've got our end piece, we've got our shelf. Obviously this is going to be cut down to length, and then we'll even the overhang up, but it just gives you a rough idea of what I'm aiming for. So you've got your gap there, your hooks, as we've said, will be on there. So they're going to be all spaced out. Shelf will probably only be about 10 or 15mm overhang on this, and then these I think we're just going to come out a bit straight, fetch them down on an angle to the same straight there so it matches, and just give them a bit of a slope. So start working that out, get them cut, and then we can cut the top, and then it's loads of sanding on these edges and sealing before we put it together. Got this marked out. What I've done, I've come 40mm in and I've come 40mm down. That gives us the same gap on each section, and then line down, cut that bit off, and that gives us our shape for the end blocks. So I'll cut both of these, and then we'll have a look, see what they look like. If they don't look right, we'll alter them. If they do look right, happy days. I'm going to cut these both together, so you make sure all your edges are lined up. You've got a good hold of them, and then that gives us both of them the same angle then. And that's what we're ending up looking like, which looks pretty good. Sorry about the lights flashing in here, I haven't worked out how to get round that yet. I will try and have a look at rectifying it. So now what we need to do is work out how much overhang we need on the top. So whatever overhang I have on the side will be the same overhang on the front, so it follows round symmetrically. Right, so a quick and easy way of setting an overhang up is just scrap piece of MDF and use that to set your gaps. So we've got 18mm overhang there and 18mm overhang on the front. So I'm going to cut that down now on the table saw, and then we'll cut it to length, and we're on to sanding then. Right, reset the fence to 118mm to give us the width of the shelf we need. I'll cut this. And that gives you an idea of what we're aiming for. Right, on cue the church bells start. So we've got us 18mm overhang all the way around there. All we've got to do now is cut this to length at this end, and obviously get our second end cap on, and then sand up, glue and pin, and then work out where we're going to put all those coat hooks. Right, so I've cut the top to length, and this is the finished, well, not finished, but that's all the pieces cut to the size. So as you can see now, that's what we're aiming for. And all that's left to do is sand all these edges up that we've cut, because they've all gone furry, as MDF does. So we'll sand them up, then seal them, wait for the sealer to dry, and then re-sand them, and then we can start assembling it then. Just set the palm sander up, that's all we're going to use for doing these. Put 120 grit paper on, and all we're going to do now is just lightly sand all these edges that we've cut. Like I say, MDF, when you cut it, it gets like a furry edge to it. It's not smooth like the face edge. So what we have to do is sand it and then seal it. What I use is PVA and water on a 75% PVA, 25% water mix. Paint it on, let it dry, give it a very light sand off with some 240, and then that's it sealed. Then it'll take paint just as well as the front, and you don't get that rough horrible edge once you've painted it. So we'll get it sanded, and then we'll I'll show you how to start sealing it. I've got some PVA and water ready mixed. You want 75% PVA, 25% water. Give it a good mix up so you've got a nice thick solution, and then we're going to paint it on the bits we've just sanded. Once that's dry, we'll give it a very light sanding off with some 240 grit, some really fine paper, and then we're ready for assembly. All the edges that I need gluing up are all glued now. All that remains is to let this dry. Doesn't take long, because it's the end, sort of the end grain if you like, and it is so porous, it dries fairly quickly. It just soaks straight in. So we'll give that 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll be able to start sanding up. This lot's all dried now, so we've got 240 grit sandpaper, and it's literally just a wipe over. Not that he's going to pick this up. You can see how it goes a white colour. When it's gone white like that, that's all it needs. So we're just going to sand all these up now, and then it's ready to take paint as just as good as the surface will. There's all different methods of doing this, what different people try and what have you, but this is the best method I've found for doing this. If you go on the internet, there's all different people with different versions, and this is the best one that's worked for me, so this is the one I keep using. I'll get these done and then I'll fetch you back. That's all the bits all sanded up nice and smooth. We can now get on with assembling it. So I'll get it all set out. Just need to unpack and get the compressor going. So I'll get that sorted, and then we can start gluing and pinning. Right, got everything set up. Clamped a piece of wood just on the edge of the bench here. That gives me a straight edge to push everything up to, so I can push that to it, push that to it, and it keeps the bottom perfectly straight. I can also overhang just on this bit of the bench here, so I can get a clean shot with the nail gun. So all we're going to do is glue it up. I've got some 35mm brads in there, and we're just going to glue and brad. By the time it's all set, it'll be solid. So glue on this end using Gorilla Glue. I find this is a really good strong glue, works well. Make sure you get a good even coat of glue. Piece of cloth, just wipe up the excess glue off. Right, next bit, glue these up, and we can pin this onto that, and that's the actual framework sorted. Leave it to set, and then we can start putting the hooks on. And there we have it. That's the basic of what we're wanting. Turned out quite nice, that. And once we get some of the hooks on, and they've got it all they get it all painted, then that should look right. That's the end article, so worked out quite well, that. And once we've got the hooks on and in place and they've got it all painted up, that will look very nice. So I'm just going to give that an hour or so, let the glue set and strengthen itself up, and then we can come back and start marking these out. Just been marking off for where these hooks are going to go. So what I've done, I've come from the edge and I've come in 100mm. That's my first mark. Then I'm going to use a little V in the centre as my centre point. So that's the first one. Same at the other end, in 100. That's my second one. Then what we do to get them equally spaced is we come from that mark to that mark and take a measurement. Then this is where a lot of people go wrong. A lot of people would divide it by 3 because they want another 3 hooks. You don't. You divide by the number of spaces, which is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you divide it by 4, and then that gives you your 3 space marks, which for me is 169. So 169 works, and I get me my other 3 spacers, which spaces them out all nice and evenly. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to find or cut a piece of wood which I can clamp to the bottom, and then I can sit these on, which will give them all the identical height. I ain't got to bother about trying to keep them all level. I'll just pull them down to that piece of wood and then start marking out for the screws. So I'll get that done and then I'll show you where we are. I've got this piece of wood clamped to the bottom there, and you can see that all I need to do is, there's the pencil mark, and we just line it up with the centre, sit it down to the wood, same again, pencil mark, line it up and sit it in. Now what I'm going to do to get these holes in the right place, I'm using it's actually for hinges. What it does, that sits in the countersink, and as you drill it pushes back and drills a hole, and this keeps it centered in the hole, so it makes it nice and easy, and you're not trying to make sure you've got your drill bit in the center of the hole, because the bit keeps it centered, and it's just a matter of screwing in then and we're about done. So all we do is make sure we're perfectly lined up with our mark, keep a good amount of pressure on it so it can't move, and that's it. All we're doing now is screwing them in. When I'm doing anything like this, I like to use a hand screwdriver. The cordless can sometimes strip the threads if you get a bit too happy with the trigger. So at least by hand you can feel just where it bites and you know when to stop. So you're getting the maximum thread in the wood. It's not stripping out and ends up coming loose and falling off. Right, I'll get the rest of these done and then we'll have a look when it's finished. Right, move that out of the way, and there we have our end product. I think that looks rather smart. Good coat of paint on that now. Get it on that wall, look brill. Right everybody, that's the end of this one. So thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, found it useful or anything like that, do give us a like and a subscribe. If you think you know of anybody else that might like it, do pass it along, and we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers everybody, bye.